For all you Groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. This is the FANA Fan Podcast, and I'm Topliss. And for all you Groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. And tonight, for those who read the blog of the Women's Euros final, you'll notice I was there with a few people. And tonight, we're joined by one of them. It's Aimee. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So, Aimee McIntosh from Portsmouth. How did you get into football?
Oh gosh, a long time ago now, even though I am only 26. But I feel like as soon as I was born, I was probably a footy fan. My dad's a massive Pompey Portsmouth fan, and so is my brother. My brother's 4 years older than me, so it was always kind of whatever he done, I wanted to do. And his thing was football, so that then become my thing. So yeah, that's how I got into it. I mean, as you probably already know, Portsmouth is such a kind of a football city anyway. So that is our sport down there. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into it, really, just through family members.
Through family. In a very, very passionate place as well, as you know, so many people tell me that Fratton Park is deafening at times.
Yeah. Have you ever been?
No.
Oh gosh, you got to get down to a game.
Hopefully against Southampton.
Oh my God, yeah, maybe not that one as your first one.
Maybe that was the first one. Now, well, we don't know when that's going to come around again. Portsmouth, I've put them to go up in League One this season, but I don't think Southampton are going down, so it might be a while. But
maybe FA Cup draw, some draw could do us some luck on that rivalry. It was actually my first game at Fratton Park, funny enough. My dad took me and my brother to see Portsmouth versus Southampton. I must have only been about 7. So can you imagine? Like, this is when like the rivalry was high as well. I think both teams were in the Premier League still. I was just like, oh my God, I think I returned home and my mum was like, you're never taking them again. It's just like police everywhere, people chanting everywhere. Yeah, it was a madness, but
fans
great
all
atmosphere. Yeah, literally, like, I remember seeing a police horse and I was just like, oh my God, like, this is crazy. But then the atmosphere in the ground, it's just like electric, considering the amount, the attendance rate is obviously, small compared to the big stadiums now that we see. But it feels like, the size of Wembley at times.
I can imagine, definitely, especially when the atmosphere is that crazy, especially on a derby day. Do you remember the score on the day?
Oh gosh, no, I can't remember what I had for dinner last night. I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that Portsmouth won. I guess it would have been one of, the last times they probably played Southampton. So, let's hope when we Google that one, they won.
So, I remember you telling me at Wembley that you used to play when you were younger.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Yeah, so like I said, everything my brother done, my older brother, I just wanted to do. So from a young age, he was, put into football teams and played in kind of boys and then teen and then, adult leagues. And I remember I would obviously have to go along with my mum and my dad and kind of watch him and then play on the sidelines. And then I think maybe my parents were like, oh, wait there, she can actually play as well. Just wasn't into like the typical girly things, should we say, at the time, and of what maybe my generation would have been into. So I think, I was probably like maybe 6, 7, 8, maybe, still in junior school, and kind of just said to my parents that I'd love to go play. There wasn't many, girls teams at the time, as obviously we're hearing a lot of now as well with the kind of hype of back of the Euros. Portsmouth were actually, I was quite lucky that obviously Portsmouth at the time were in the Premier League, so there was obviously a hype around kids teams, and they done kind of a community group. It was called Portsmouth in the Community, Pompey in the Community. They done sessions, and they actually done girl sessions. So I think I went along. I still remember, I don't know why, because my memory is so bad, but I remember it, and it was on like hockey AstroTurf, which is just like the worst surface to play football on.
Oh yeah.
Like your knees just get absolutely battered. And it was at night time, so like the floodlights are on. And yeah, I just remember like being like, oh, okay, like I'm not playing with boys for once, and there's other girls that play. And yeah, there's just one thing that sticks out was, so I'm left-footed, and obviously I take myself as a serious left footer, like left wing, like I'm like, I'll play on this side even at a young age. And then yeah, it turns out that my fitness levels were terrible as a kid, and they still are now. And yeah, the coaches were kind of like, oh, do you want to maybe try going in goal for a bit? And yeah, my first session I ended up going in goal, and I stayed there. I never come out until I was, when I finished, when I was like 15, 16. So yeah, I was a goalie, but that's kind of how my playing career, so to speak, kicked off.
Wow. Where did you play before you were in goal?
But I mean, when you're that young, you're kind of playing everywhere, right? You're just trying to impress, like running everywhere. But yeah, I'm like I say, now when I'm playing five-a-side or when I'm training with the team I'm with now, I tend to stay on the left, show off that left foot a little bit. So yeah, left back, left wing, maybe just push myself up front sometimes.
Like a Gareth Bale.
Yeah, well, yeah, some may say.
Yeah. So as a keeper, like, I've had a go at playing in goal before. I think at five-a-side nets, I think, yeah, no one's going to score past me. But in the big sides, I'm thinking, good Lord, what am I going to do here? What's it like being in goal, would you say?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, going from kind of the different age groups as well with the girls team, like, the size of the goal got a lot bigger when we went to 11-a-side. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, like there's like grown men playing in the same size goal. But yeah, no, it's mad. I mean, I remember when we kind of played, 7-a-side, and the goals are then so small, you obviously feel like you want to jump up to that bigger goal. But we were kind of lucky enough that our girls team kind of stayed the same. We were quite a unit from like being kids to kind of when we went into the women's league. So yeah, I always knew that I had trust in my defence. So even if they were coming over to the big goal, I'd be like, wait, I've got my defence in front of me, so it's all good.
Well, that's good. They've all stuck together because, I've been in junior football since 2018 with the club I'm at. And the amount of different teams I've had. It can be very frustrating at times when a player says, oh, she's not going to carry on, or, we'll get somebody else in now. And so that side of it, especially, junior football, I suppose anywhere, you're going to have coaches going to stick with the same team, but have different teams, so many different years, different squad photos, always someone new on it. Yeah, no,
it's mad, actually. I was looking through my old like football pictures and seeing the same faces in, like I said, from going to 7 to 11 aside. It makes you think like, oh, we actually were like quite a decent team, quite a good unit, because every year we managed to retain the same girls, and I guess that's what made us a good team, because we just had that chemistry. And then, as we were getting older and going into our teen lives, that's when a few of us started dropping off, and then a few actually stayed on, went to America and played. And I've even seen now through like social media that a couple of girls who are in the team are now playing together at, I think they're playing at Selsey, which is down near Chichester. So yeah, they're now reunited and playing again. So it's I feel like there needs to be a reunion of that team, like that cup and league winning team. Might have to make it happen.
Does that not tempt you at all, Chichester?
Not sure. Don't think, like I said, I need to get in the gym, need to get my fitness levels back up.
Fair enough. So you touched on there, 15, 16 years old, you did you lose interest, do you think, or did you just
I think I always, like I say, I played football because I just really enjoyed it, and it was just something that was obviously the family enjoyed as well, and it was kind of what brought people together, and I always loved that aspect. And yeah, as I was getting older and into my teens, and as we were playing 11-a-side, you just felt the switch from, this is enjoyable with my friends, and we're just playing, and we're meeting up for training, and we're going to play on a Sunday or a Saturday morning, and then it kind of just switched to, why are we not winning? Why, like, it's your fault. You know, like the expectations changed and the pressure changed a lot. And I think at that time, you know, women's football wasn't seen to be a career or something that we could carry on doing. So it was like, yeah, okay, well, if I've got this much pressure on my shoulders when I'm 15, like just kicking a ball about, yeah. And then I kind of think, you know, society, like I said, society kind of tells you, like, if you're not going to do it as a career, or you're not going to, you know, gain anything from it, or, you know, the men are better anyway, kind of thing. I just naturally fell out of love with it. And I remember just saying to my parents, like, I don't feel like there's any need carrying on. You know, I'm off to college, I'm leaving senior school. And yeah, it was a shame, really, because I feel like the hype of the Euros and now, you know, what the WSL is bringing us, you know, it's bittersweet, because I feel like if I just carried on like all those other girls that had carried on, who are all my age, I'm like, fuck, like I could have just if I just stuck at it and I was determined. But yeah, it was just a fallout, I think, of it not becoming enjoyable. And yeah, that was it, really.
It does happen though to all of us. I mean, I've had it with the girls' team. I coach, a few of them lost interest and they've just gone. You know, it's one of those things. It happens, but like at the same time, it's probably a case of wrong generation, as we know this year.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine? How would you have felt? You know, being back then at 15, 16, seeing that, and then playing the girls. How would you have felt?
It would have been insane. You know, like I said, when I was a teenager, you know, that wouldn't even have crossed my mind to see of what the women's team done this year. And that's so shocking to say, because we did have a women's team then. And, you know, my team would go and watch them in friendlies and in competition. So to even think that, it's terrible. But yeah, like I was, when I was looking back at old photos after the Euros of my my like team and me kind of at a young age, I was getting a little bit emotional, because I was like, if only I had that. Or now I'm so lucky, and I'm not lucky, but it's so great for young girls around the country and, you know, around the world that can see that and be like, oh, okay, like I can do it as well. So yeah, no, it is really bittersweet.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on there going to the women's friendlies. Like, we'll touch on Wembley later on, but like, what were the attendances like then?
Not good. Not good. I think it was, just a handful of, kids, maybe some school classes and their parents, you know. I think I went to one international friendly at Southampton's ground, actually, which I don't think my dad was too pleased about having to take me.
Typically.
But yeah, no, I mean, nothing like, you know, it would kind of be like feel like a training game, because there would just be hardly anyone there. So yeah, walking into the European final this year was like, am I at the wrong game? Like, is this right? Is this meant to be like this? Flashback like 15 years ago. It's an incredible journey that they've been on.
Absolutely. And the belief that one day, the young girls in the crowd could be playing in front of a crowd that sized in the future. Must be.
Yeah, just hope that the momentum continues. You know, there's obviously been such a marketing push, press push, like brands now on the back of it. I just hope it's not kind of a one-hit wonder, and that, you know, people actually go out and support the teams. We're not just, you know, high-ranked teams, but the local teams. I think that's more important than going to watch, top-tier football, as you know, especially. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to touch on that, I mean, me and my friend Joe, we're on commentary for Switch Sport Radio for Doncaster Bells on Tuesday night when they play Sheffield FC.
Oh, nice.
It's at Club Thorn Colliery, just above Doncaster. The attendance was 260, which, I mean, for a little ground in Step 7 that size, I mean, we were in the thick of it, in the top of the stand that they've got. And honestly, the atmosphere changed, because I went to watch them last year in November at Rossington Mains ground. There's about 100 there, so the attendance has nearly trebled. I'm sure that they'll get more and more. But have you seen the season tickets for Arsenal women?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the North London derby. I've managed to get a ticket. I think they've now nearly sold, over 30,000 tickets at Emirates.
Half the ground,
it's insane. I mean, I will be sitting in the Spurs end, so I'm a bit not sure about that one. There's Arsenal women there. Yeah,
well,
they're
that's another
top
thing.
of their game.
A designated away end now as well.
Exactly. Unreserved seating, but I'll take it. But yeah, 30,000, which again, it's a massive push off the back of the Euros, but and obviously at Emirates, and I'm actually going to see Spurs women play Man United at the Spurs Stadium next week. So that's had a big push as well. So yeah, it's really good to see.
Is that going to be a regular thing, playing at Spurs rather than Barnet they normally play at?
Yeah, so I think I think it will just be when the stadium's available, depending on when the men are playing. But yeah, I think they are really trying to do first game of the season, because I think Chelsea are playing at Stamford Bridge as well in their first game. So yeah, hopefully just to get a little bit more attention and then filter through a little bit.
Absolutely. Roll on the Super League season when it does start. So you just touched on there, Tottenham fan?
Yeah.
God, so let's talk about Tottenham then.
But it's a funny story, because like I say, I've touched upon Portsmouth a little bit. When we were chatting before, I was actually thinking about, oh God, like what team do I say? But my partner, he supports Tottenham. So I've 6 years now we've been together, so I've been converted to the Tottenham way, which some may say is not a smart move at all. But yeah, it's been a tough 6 years, not just my relationship. But I would say I support Tottenham, and obviously Portsmouth's my home team, so I'm always watching them and kind of looking at the scores and checking in with my brother and saying like, oh, like who's like getting in the squad and what's this and what's that. But I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I actually said I might just support England. I might just say I support international football. I mean, I'll have a tournament every 2 years. Women's and men's. Maybe even filter down to the youth teams. Who knows? But yeah, no. At the moment, it's very much Tottenham, which we're not doing too bad this season. I mean, yesterday's result against West Ham was a bit frustrating, but we move on.
We move on indeed. But like you say, we've all got our home team. I mean, I always follow Mansfield Town. But my team I've always supported as a kid's been Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
So despite my Man United supporting dad, I've always been Liverpool.
How does that go down?
Just laugh at each other when the time comes. I had to temporarily mute the phone last week when we lost to him, but it's all in good spirits, really. I mean, there's two brothers, one Liverpool, one Man United, so it's actually 2-2 in the end. So
I think families just agree not to talk about it. Like, if you just make a pact, like, okay, this is your team, this is mine. Let's just not talk about it, unless one's winning, and then obviously that's when the showboating comes out of it.
Yeah, I mean, he got the bare brunts after the Brentford game, I'll tell you that. But kind of thinking I probably shouldn't have said that then after last Monday. Yeah.
Oh God.
So, but again, I mean, we all love an underdog, as we say, but at the same time, we do wouldn't mind a trophy now and then, wouldn't we?
Well, yeah, saying that, I used to, this is how much, I guess, of the Tottenham fan I'm probably not. As a kid, I used to support Arsenal just because they used to win all the time. I was such a glory hunter, honestly. I'd be like, yeah, I'll just support the champions. I remember I used to have like the gold away Arsenal kit, and yeah, every time I bring it up to my boyfriend now, he's not too impressed. He's like, don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. So yeah, now I'm wearing a Tottenham top. So, but yeah, I actually saw an interview with Leah Williamson, and she's playing for Arsenal and always has. But I saw an interview where she said that her and her mum are Arsenal, but her brother and her dad are Tottenham, and apparently it's the same. They just do not speak about football. But obviously, you know, they've kind of got to support her, and she plays for Arsenal, so that must be a little bit awkward around dinner time.
Oh, it can be sometimes, but on the day. Obviously, you dread the day, but at the same time, you love the win.
Yeah, exactly.
When it does come around. So, but no, not the first one. I mean, you know Jamie Carragher, Everton fan, growing up, and he's come on to be one of Liverpool's greatest. So,
oh yeah, even Harry Kane played for Arsenal youth, right? So that picture gets circled around a few times.
Absolutely, it does happen. Yeah. So, I want to talk about some of the best grounds you've visited. You mentioned you've been to Fratton Park. Have you? You know, you've been to Tottenham.
Yeah, so I have been to Spurs, but it was for a concert. So yeah, even though my boyfriend and his family are season ticket holders, I've yet to been to a league game or get to experience them. And yeah, my first game at Spurs will be women's, so I'm actually quite proud of that. But no, I went to see Lady Gaga earlier this summer, which was an experience, but also just because we got to stand on the pitch. You know, we had standing tickets. And yeah, there was another time that I'd done that was at Wembley for Adele. I went to see Adele and I was standing, and you kind of do have this feeling like you're just looking around and you're like, I could be a footballer. Like this is what they feel like. But yeah, it was such a great experience, and obviously to see it from that view and kind of to, you know, walk in and then walk down onto the pitch. It was yeah, it's a great stadium, and yeah, very high tech, the Spurs stadium. I'm not sure if you've been, but yeah,
I've been on the tour and the Skywalk, and I've been there for NFL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What I'm going to say to you is this: do the Skywalk.
Oh God, I'm not sure if I can face the height, you know. But yeah, maybe one day. I'll put it on my bucket list.
Definitely. Honestly, I mean, my personal opinion is that Tottenham Stadium is the best stadium in the world at the moment. It is good, I think. Beautiful.
Yeah, I've heard that be said a few times actually, and not to even be biased about it, but yeah, like I say, it was just, there was no fault even going for a concert where you think, you know, it will be a little bit unorganized, but yeah, everything from, you know, security to kind of facilities, it was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it told us on the Skywalk that they actually worked with U2 and sound engineering to keep the sound in. So when we were stood over, you know, over the Skywalk, we did a countdown of 3, 2, 1. There's about 8 of us there, and we had to shout, "Come on, you Spurs!" at the top of your voice. And after you did it, only 8 of us at the top of there, by the way, you could actually hear the echo, just slightly. Thinking, it actually is.
Yeah, it's mad.
You know, put a loud fan base. No disrespect, but you put a loud fan base in that cup. I'm telling you, you will have the most deafening atmosphere ever. I mean, it's just a fantastic. And not to mention the view of London from the other side as well. I mean, in your case, you can see the Emirates, so that might spoil it, but still.
Yes, it's too close for my liking. Needs to get a bit further out.
Yeah. So, I mean, any other honourable mentions you want to put in there, grounds-wise?
Well, just, I guess, sticking on the music theme is I went to see Blossoms at Stockport United's ground a couple of years ago.
County.
Yeah.
Edgeley Park, yeah.
Yeah, which again is obviously just, you know, like a traditional ground. But when you add music in the mix, for me, it just makes the atmosphere. And I think all of the Blossom members are Stockport fans or Man City fans. So they had like such an amazing crowd, full of like football fans, and you can just tell, you know, who supports who. But yeah, that was probably another good ground moment of mine. And yeah, I just have to say Fratton Park again, like even just kind of not being in the ground on match days, but just being around. You know, my parents live like a 5-minute walk away from Fratton Park, so all you have to do is open your front door and you can just hear the atmosphere, or kind of just see everyone walking down to the ground. So yeah, I'd always say that Fratton Park's got that special place of being like the best atmosphere I've ever experienced, considering it's such like an old ground. But yeah, those would be my mentions.
Fair enough. I mean, Edgeley Park I have been. And if you've seen my blog, it's my highest rated. 39 out of 40. I mean, the fans more than anything, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My dad said that they're like a mini German club. They're that good.
Yeah.
They're amazing, honestly. I mean, hairs on my arm stood up, just watching the cop. Couldn't get into the cop end, Cheadle end, as they call it. But all game, all game. Sensational. And that brings me on to, I'm going to ask you that question now. Best fans. Again,
I'm going to have to say Pompey.
Pompey again,
typical Pompey. Like the noise just does not stop. Classic Johnny Westwood with his bell, just like in the front end. Like I say, you can just literally hear it citywide. We are, a small city, but we are very overpopulated down in Portsmouth. But clearly on match day, that whole population goes and cheers them on. And I honestly think, some games, that's what gets the players through. And you always see it as well when players kind of join on loan, or they join the club or leave the club. They always praise the fans. Or you always see ex-players kind of say like, oh God, that you don't want to go play at Fratton Park because just the fans are just mental. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. Depends who you're supporting, right?
Absolutely. I mean, what's it like? Is it normally sell out every week? Is it? Or
I saw the other day.
Have I got a chance to get a ticket if I want to go down?
I think so. Well, maybe I can have a word with someone down there. But no, I think I saw a tweet the other day about season tickets that they had just hit. I think it was 14,000 season tickets. Obviously, where we've been, making our way back up the leagues after kind of those horrible years of liquidation and change of owners, etc. So I think they always get a good turnout, even on like a Monday night or a cold winter's evening. So I would definitely say Portsmouth are the best fans, and that's not even being biased.
You're right though about atmospheres getting teams through. I mean, you look at Liverpool, Celtic on a European night, and I know you're probably going to say, but would Rangers have got to the Europa League final without that atmosphere?
It's true.
So
yeah.
But so we've had the best. That might have been biased. Who were the worst, would you say?
Well, the Southampton.
Southampton, fair enough.
Again, just going back to the rivalry, like I guess every team has it, but Portsmouth rivalry between Southampton is just unreal. And I actually went to University of Southampton, and I moved there. I moved to the city for a year, and again, don't think my dad was too pleased with that. Or when he had to come to my graduation, I think he was like, right, I'm going in and then I'm leaving. But yeah, I would obviously just through rivalry just say Southampton, but also through like a kind of media perspective, I guess Chelsea. They've always got bad press, and as a publicist, I'm always looking at bad press. So I'd definitely say Chelsea. And again, that's not being biased as a Spurs fan either.
Oh no, fair enough. You see a lot of videos of them, unfortunately, causing a bit. There's been quite a few causing a bit of grief.
Yeah, and I mean, even this season alone, I think there was a few fans who got their season ticket revoked against Tottenham, actually, for some unacceptable behaviour. And like you say, you always see videos floating about on social media. You just think they'd be a little bit more smarter or not do it.
Simple as that. Easier said than done, unfortunately, for some people. But you're dead right there about the rivalries. People will just not go to the place. Forget it. I know a lot of Mansfield fans will not step foot in Chesterfield. No, I'm not going, mate. Not going. I mean, even though one of my friends from York City said, I think him and his friends were having a do in Scarborough. He said, it's in Scarborough, mate. I'm not going, mate. Scarborough. That's a rival. I'm not going, mate. It's Scarborough.
It's so funny because I don't even think like my dad follows the current team like intensely like he did. He was kind of, his generation would go to the games, get up to a little bit of mischief, go watch the football, that kind of 6-5-7 era. But even now, my sister's getting married next year, and she's talking about maybe having a performer who's known to be a Southampton fan. My dad's like, no, he cannot come. He is not coming. And my sister's like, yeah, but if we get this performer, that would be massive. Like people will be like, this is the best wedding ever. And they're like, my dad's like, I won't come. It's literally like hand on heart. Like if this guy is there, I'm not going. It does make me laugh, but it also, when you say it out loud, it's insane because it's just a game of football, right? But like it's our livelihood. People just take it so serious.
They do. It's in the blood.
It
I
is.
won't go
It
to
really
that
is.
extreme. I personally won't go to that extreme, but like
Yeah.
some people, honestly. So let's move on to the Euros then, the women's Euros. I mean, how many games did you attend?
The final.
Just the final.
Yeah, which obviously it sounds a bit like I've jumped off the bandwagon last minute, which I was a bit like, oh God, I don't want people to think that I have. But yeah, no, I obviously had watched all of the games on television and followed, pre the tournament as well. But yeah, I had a day off, I think maybe the Thursday before. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to try get a ticket, because we had done the same for the men's Euros the year previous. My partner wanted to, he had gone to the quarters, semis, and then we were trying to get a final ticket, and we just, he managed to get one, which was just crazy. And I think his experience of the men's final was a hell lot different to what we went through. But yeah, no, I was just sat there on the Thursday before, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to see if there's any tickets floating about. I'm lucky enough to work in the entertainment industry, so I'd kind of asked a few contacts, but they were like, oh no, like brands allocations done and all of this. And I'm thinking, oh God, like this person owes me a favor, where's my ticket? And then yeah, I just went onto Twitter, and yeah, as you know, I saw someone selling a ticket, and there's always this thing like, is it a scam, is it not a scam? And I was lucky enough to obviously message the right person at the right time, and it was legit, and I got the ticket sent to my app, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm actually going. And I was just so buzzed. I didn't even care that I was going or I was coming along with strangers. I just was like, I'm just so happy. So yeah, it was the only game I went to, but I think the impact that it's kind of had on me since, and hopefully going forward, is that I'm so happy that I did, and that I didn't just stay in and watch it on telly or go to the pub with friends. Like I'm just so happy that I took the instinct to be like, actually just going to see if there's a ticket floating about. And yeah, and then I got to meet you as well, so it was a great day.
Thank you. I mean, for me, I only did 3 games. I said to my mates that I want to do, for blogging purposes, get to just one game.
Yeah.
And I managed to see Iceland, the last game of the group.
Yeah.
Against France at Rotherham, being on my doorstep during that 40-degree heat day. Man, that was crazy.
I bet.
And cracking game. VAR controversy stopping France going 3-0 up in the end. And Iceland equalising in the 96th minute from the spot. I still didn't see where the penalty was. It was as if VAR wanted Iceland to win. But honestly, they were incredible, Iceland. I mean, I wonder what they're like when they're watching a men's game. I mean, with the attendances. But then me and my mate Jack was sat in McDonald's Saturday morning before we're going to have a drive out to the Peaks to watch Chapeltown, and he messaged me saying, "I've got a spare ticket for Bramall Lane semi-final."
Oh, amazing!
I'm like, say that again. I'm like, I've got a spare ticket. Do you want one? I'm like, do I want one? Do I want one? Yeah, there you go, mate. Here's your money. So yeah, the semi-final again, absolutely incredible. The atmosphere, sensational.
I think that's what done it for me. Was I was watching the semis and I was just like, why am I not there? Like, why have I not even thought about going? And I think it just comes down to, like we touched upon earlier, of like when I stopped playing football, I kind of just like pushed the women's game aside and kind of didn't want to know anything or want to do like have anything to do with it, and kind of had this kind of like, if I speak about it anyway, no one's going to really care, or like what's the point? So yeah, when I watched the semis on telly, I was like, no, I need to be at that final. Like, get me there. I need to be. So yeah, the atmosphere just looked insane at the semis.
No, it was. I mean, we were sat near the band, thankfully, as well, so we were probably get into it. And then I still, to this day, couldn't believe it. So we're 2-0 up. The ball's been played across. I can't remember. I think Russo shot. Keeper saved. Oh, so close. I'm thinking, what's he going to do here?
Yeah.
And then that happened. I just, what? I mean, if Ronaldo does that, the commentator will go absolutely mental, and we're probably seeing it still to this day. But what a goal that was! What was your reaction to that?
I literally speechless. I think my mouth was open for about 10 minutes, and then I spoke, and then was speechless again. But yeah, like even after the tournament, seeing it kind of being printed on t-shirts, and like you say, if it was in the men's game, it would be like on every billboard, like across the world. But yeah, no, absolutely insane. And I think even just watching the Lionesses' reactions after as well just made me laugh even more, because they were just taking the piss out of her celebration, and because they were all just like, what the hell just happened? I think we were all in the same boat. But yeah, no, insane.
I mean, yeah, imagine Harry Kane doing that against Scotland. Honestly, it'd be sprayed onto blooming Tottenham's ground for eternity. Then the fourth went in, and then I got the message that week. Well, I got two messages. So in the situation, one mate's messaged me saying, "I'm so lucky in the ballot, mate. I've got a spare ticket in the Liverpool end for the Community Shield game." And then the day after, I got a message from Stuart, "Got a spare ticket for Women's Euros. So I've got option A or B. And as you finally know, I picked option C. I'm going both. I'm going both. You get it? So I'm already a bit worn out Sunday morning. But so then the final, got a ticket. I mean, what time did you get to Wembley? Like to Wembley, where I mean, we were there pretty early. Like
so I think I maybe arrived at like 1:30, maybe. So it turned out I did know people that were going, actually quite close friends. So I was lucky enough to meet up with them before. But I travelled up to Wembley on my own, and kind of was just it just felt really surreal, because again, you just think like, if this was the men's game, and all of those scenes that we saw last year of the men's game as well, and obviously how it ended was just not what anyone wanted it to be. But it was just such a nice atmosphere, like getting off the tube and then walking down the way, and there not being kind of no angst, and just like seeing families and young girls as well. And like you always get trolls and haters be like, oh, but that's not the real atmosphere, or like, why would you want to go and kind of watch football in that setting? But it's honestly one of like the best atmospheres that I've been in, even like away from football. Like, even if like I've never been to like a music concert where it's just no stress, like everyone was just happy to be there. So yeah, I just arrived, kind of was just taking in the atmosphere, and kind of messaging my mum and being like, just sending her pictures as well, and being like, God, like this could have been me. And then I met up with some friends. We managed to get into the fan party on Wembley Way, had a few drinks. But yeah, even I can't praise Wembley enough for that organisation of like the no drinking policy, and kind of the sight of police officers was great as well. But again, it's a shame that last year's antics kind of made it so strict this year. But and then I made my way into the grounds, and obviously met you and the other guys, and it's just, I was a bit nervous actually about coming to sit down, because I was like, oh God, like what if they hate me? Like then I've got to sit through a whole game, and they're thinking like, what is she doing? But no, it was just it was you guys were so welcoming, and I mean, we'll touch upon it later, I'm sure, but like just that whole community vibe of welcoming anyone in, like and it couldn't have been a better game to kind of have that experience with strangers, because after we've all still spoke, and I'm here now recording a podcast with you, and it's what I guess I love about football the most. But that was my experience really, and then the rest is literally history. We went on to win, and then I think I ended up in Box Park, Wembley, till about 1:30, 2 o'clock that night, knowing that I had work on the Monday morning. And I was just like, do you know what? I don't care. But I do not care, because this was because
football came home.
I was like, any other game, like it would be acceptable. So whatever. Ended up partying a little bit. Saw some faces in the women's football in there. I think her name escapes me, a Chelsea manager, Emma, last name escapes me, but she was in there. And I feel like even Kelly Smith might have been in there. It was all a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. But it was such a good game, such a good day as well.
Oh yeah, but like you say, before the final Wembley, where I mean, we're seeing videos of Euro 2021 with the men's team, pyros galore. I mean, I was there, about a month earlier for Mansfield in the playoff final, and we're letting pyros off at the bars we're at. Bouncer taking them off as walking out, and then we get into the concourse and shirts are off. My brother's on my shoulders. Let's go, mental. None of that in the women's game. No. Very calm, very family orientated as well, which was, I think, very important.
Yeah. I think there was that young family in front of us, and the kid was asleep. I was like, wake up. Remember, you have to wake up. You're going to miss history. Wake up. But, it is different. And, I do respect that. Some people need that kind of atmosphere from the men's game, that they need that to go enjoy a game of football, but I can't stress enough that you really don't. And if you actually just paid attention to the ability and the skill of the footballers, it doesn't matter if you're sat there in silence or if you're screaming until your voice is lost, so to any people that are kind of put off by that kind of family vibe and the kind of like chill vibe, I would say just go watch, because if anything, you actually do get a little bit rowdy at times. You're a bit like, ref, what you doing? Or like,
you beat me to it. I was just about to say that it was two of our players got booked. I can't remember. I don't know if Williamson was one, but it was for the first foul.
Yeah,
and imagine that in, like, if that was the men's game. What would the fans be doing there?
Yeah.
You would. Yeah, I mean, I had to be careful. I didn't shout, ref, come on.
Yeah.
A bit more calmer. Not that I'm blaming the or anything, but like, I mean, but yeah, I mean, it was a lot calmer. But I'll tell you one thing though. Every time, remember Lauren Hemp getting on the ball down the left wing, everyone was like, in anticipation. But it was deafening. You really could feel it rather than hear it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the first time I've been at Wembley with that capacity. The first time I've been in the top tier, because it's not been open the last 3 times I've been.
Yeah.
Mansfield ain't got that many fans, unfortunately. But like, it just felt so surreal when England got forward, and then that ball through, Ella Toon's through on goal. What were you thinking?
Well, it was our end, wasn't it? And I was just like, oh my God, the ball literally was so slow in the air. Like it was slow-mo. So I feel because we were face on to the goal, we obviously knew it was probably going in, but the slow-mo. And then I was just like, oh my God, like, and then just hugging you guys. It was, again, like, it just doesn't matter who's next to you. I was just like, oh my God, like, this is insane. And then, the second goal, I mean, absolute scramble, but again, it was our end. And there was obviously when Chloe Kelly scored and then she paused. So we were all celebrating, and then I was like, "Why she stood still? Go, like celebrate! Like if you pause, then everyone's going to pause." Yeah. So even now, when you're watching replays, you see her pause, and the crowd is just still going mental. But both goals, I was on the edge of my seat, and then I don't think I could sit back down properly after.
Yeah, I mean, I felt a bit gutted for Beth Mead going off. So I thought, right, do not let that, because obviously she was level on goals, weren't she? Do not let her score now, whether she is. Don't let her score. And then obviously they did. And then I just felt after that Chloe Kelly goal went in that it is our day. Because that is pot luck. It's literally headed towards goal. It's just falling straight for it. Oh, can you go?
Yeah. No, especially like, everyone at that point, we would have said, oh, it's going to penalties, like typical England. Seen it all before in the men's game. Like, brilliant. And then extra time comes and we score, and it's just like, wait, have we done it? Like, is that it? Like, can we celebrate? And I think I even again saw an interview of Leah Williamson when she says she thought that extra time finished at 115 minutes, and obviously it's 120. Oh, wow. So for 5 minutes she was just screaming at the ref saying, "Ref, blow your whistle." And then I think Alex Greenwood had to turn around and be like, "We've got 5 minutes to go, shut up." But I think that's everyone in the ground was doing the same. It was just like 15, 16, 17, whatever minute it was, just blow your whistle. We've done it. But it's such an insane day. Like, it will, absolutely. I mean, obviously it's going to go down in history, but it will definitely go down in my history as well of watching 100%. Football games.
We were there.
Yeah, exactly. We were there.
I always try and tell people the difference between watching a game there compared to on the telly. Now, obviously, the atmosphere, you can feel it a lot more. But there's one thing that we missed.
Oh my God, I know what you're going to say.
Jill Scott's been fouled. She's got up. We didn't know she said that, did we?
Oh my God, no. I mean, after I think I'm seeing all these memes on Twitter and I'm like, oh my God, you know, if I watched that at home, I would have been in creases. Like, I'd have been laughing so much. But yeah, no, apparently she got fouled and the German player said something to her first. It was just like the camera was facing her. And again, I've seen that being put on T-shirts and memes and everywhere. And I mean, yeah, my sister's now become a massive Jill Scott fan. She doesn't even follow football because of that moment. So, you know, all of the amazing things that Jill Scott's done for the Lionesses, but that one, that one camera moment, she's got some new fans now off the back of that.
Absolutely. I mean, from a game management perspective, I think Serena got it spot on because, you know, they're just running it down the clock and then
the
100%. Final whistle came and oh man.
Yeah, no, 100%. Again, they were obviously coming to that the left-hand corner that we were obviously had closest view of. And every time the ball was like going out, I was just like, get it back. And then the crowd obviously were egging them on, being like, yeah, really, like, or if a German player kicked it out, it'd be like, boo, like, it was just so good. I mean, yeah, I think Serena's she's done such a great job, and hopefully we can take that into these friendlies that we've got coming up in the next few weeks. And the World Cup qualifiers, and then into the World Cup next year. So I'm excited to see how the squad develops as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Jill Scott and Ellen White have retired, haven't they, from the game? They've left on a high. They've done the Lionesses proud, all of us proud, haven't they? So fair play to them.
Yeah, literally no better time to step down, is there really? I mean, I think they've been wise in their decision. They could have probably gone on to the World Cup, but if that hadn't gone the same way, it would have been a little bit more a bittersweet moment. But both, I think Ellen White went the day before, then Jill Scott went out of her announcement, and then obviously the day after was the squad for the qualifiers. So nice timely retirement announcement from both of them.
Absolutely, and they will be missed.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, even from, I think, you know, my generation, and you can see that through the Lionesses who are kind of similar age to me, is that the consensus is they've done so much for the movement of women's football, and kind of going back again to like when I was playing football, those would have been the players that I would have gone and watched in friendlies, you know. And obviously if they gave up like I did, then, you know, we wouldn't be where we are now. So it's massive credit to them for going through adversity and all those challenges. And I mean, some of the stories you hear of, like, even playing for England, but you're playing in some kind of like Sunday league ground with no water, and like it's just mad, the comparisons. But yeah, fair play to them, and what a better time to step down.
Absolutely. And in front of 87,000 people, and I think the game against USA sold out already. It sold out immediately, nearly. So have
you got tickets? Are you going?
No. You?
I am, yeah. I'm good.
Yeah. You have to send me a snap while you're there. But
I think I was in the queue for about 3 hours, which again shows you how great the support's been post the Euros. But yeah, I'm actually taking an American friend, which is going to be interesting. Told her that she can't wear any American t-shirts, no shirts. She's moving here actually, so I was like, look, if you're moving to England, you might as well wear an England shirt. But yeah, no, absolutely buzzing for that, especially kind of off the back of going to watch some of the Super League games in September and October, and then going back to see the Lionesses should be fun.
Absolutely. So let's touch on the Super League then. So excited for the season ahead? Man United at home, the first one.
Yeah, do you know what I am? And I'm just excited to get back into women's football and kind of pay attention to it more, and pay attention to the players that are coming up, and not just the Super League, but also obviously the Championship, and like I mentioned before, kind of local teams as well. And actually going to pay attention to the players and kind of their stories, and not just give all my time to the men's. So yeah, first game, obviously I'm going to go support Spurs, but yeah, first game at Spurs Stadium against Man United women's. Again, I think we've sold quite a good allocation for it, being obviously at the stadium. But yeah, I think it would just be nice for the players as well to see that support. And then after that, I think the next tickets I've got bagged are for the North London derby. But like I mentioned, I think Arsenal might have us in that game. But maybe with my support in the way end, we can get through it. But yeah, no, even just to kind of see the Lionesses that play for like Man United and Arsenal, just actually away from England, and see them in the stadium playing for their clubs, I think will be quite exciting as well.
Yeah, and you'll have the likes of Alessia Russo and Beth Mead playing against you this time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh gosh, maybe I need to switch up my team. I'll have a men's team, a women's team, youth team.
Wait, are there any Lionesses that play for Tottenham?
Not in the current squad, no.
No.
Okay. There's a few English players, but yeah, no, none that are in the squad at the moment. So yeah, maybe like I said, maybe I just need to support England. Support everyone.
How do you see the Super League going this season then? Who do you think is going to win?
I think Arsenal. I think they're going to have it close to Chelsea. I think Chelsea last year, obviously solid and just seemed undefeatable with Emma Haynes behind them, and just credit to her as well as a manager. But people say that she's a bad pundit and she shouldn't comment on like men's football and all this rubbish. But there's some people that actually say she should be managing men's teams. So I think Chelsea and Arsenal are definitely going to be up there. I think City are looking a little bit in troubled times with obviously Jill Scott just retiring and Lucy Bronze going to Barcelona. And I think there's rumours that Kira Walsh is off to Barcelona as well. So, a little bit sticky for them.
And Ellen White retiring as well.
Yeah, Ellen going. And I think Chloe Kelly's down injured again. So she won't be, starting for the first couple of games. City, I think, need to rejig their strategy.
Yeah, they'll need a few players. They still have Lauren Hemp, obviously. What happens in the men's game is in the women's game. You don't say no when Barca come calling, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think the Kira Walsh conversations have been really interesting to follow, and kind of the rumours of record-breaking figures and signing, fees. So hopefully, we see that move, and her and Lucy Bronze can kind of link back up at Barcelona as much as they do at England, and that they did at City. But I'm really excited just to get back into the dynamics and see the teams and the clubs play football again.
Lovely jubbly. I mean, what do you see for the future of the Women's Super League? I mean, me and Stuart were talking about it on the drive home from Wembley as we were listening to fans on the radio. But what do you see the future of the Super League and the leagues below? What do you think?
Well, hopefully it just keeps on, getting bigger, but also not just the Super League, like you say, the leagues below. I think that's more important, and the ground, grassroots football for women, and kind of young girls seeing the Super League as kind of a journey and where they can get to. I think it's great that you saw it kind of last year when you're watching the men's game on television, that you're seeing all these adverts and you're seeing then more female players in brand deals, and you're seeing their faces more, and you're familiarizing yourself, and then kind of with award seasons, women are getting put on the same pedestal as men, and we're winning the same awards. So hopefully that just continues, and like I said, I hope that brands and kind of the investors and the clubs keep going, and it's not just from a women's perspective but from that men's perspective. We saw it with the Euros that some grounds were kind enough to open up their doors for the Euros games, but not all were, and I think it's a little bit late now for people to kind of be jumping on the bandwagon, but at the same time, you kind of want them to still keep jumping because it's only going to keep getting bigger. But yeah, I really hope that the future is progression. And I think as a country, what we're doing with women's football is just growing and growing. And you see it from like school level to kind of academy level. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, that's the direction. We've just got to keep putting it into practice, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll say it from a couple of months ago. I think, you know, in the Barnsley area, there was a primary school girls tournament. Different schools came in, did like a 5-a-side. I mean, I never saw that. You know, but back when probably we were at school. I mean, no, actually, mate invited me into Reffham, and his team won. So I passed the red card out to his team. I want to show it to him.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. My brother's a teacher, and after the Euros, there was obviously a lot of conversation around the news agenda about, you know, schools offering women's girls only sessions, or you know, what age do they stop playing with boys? And I had a conversation with him, and he was like, oh, our school has kind of offered girls sessions for years. And I was like, okay, that's amazing, you know, great. And I was lucky enough to, when I was at senior school, you know, we always had a girls team from like year 8 to 11. But I think it was just because we persisted, you know, there was a good group of us that were like, we want to play. And they kind of had to cave in, and then, yeah, we were lucky that other schools did. But yeah, no, it is really good to see. And I think the earlier on we can get into schools and get into kind of those community groups and those tournaments, it will stop girls, you know, quitting when they were teenagers like I did. So yeah, fingers crossed. It is literally only the beginning. Like when the Lionesses put that letter out to the government, it is the beginning. You know, we may have won the Euros, and we may be entering like one of the biggest Super Leagues that there's been. But you know, what a way to start, and hopefully we can continue that.
Absolutely. I mean, just on that as well, the last secondary school I worked at, they had under 13s team, which was year 7 and 8 together, and then they had under 15s, which was year 9 and 10 together. Both of those teams got to the final of their respective South Yorkshire Cup competitions.
Yeah.
I don't know who won, because funnily enough, when the under 13s got through that Tuesday, I left that Friday, so I'll never know. I'll never know. That was my last act, seeing them win on penalties. Again,
what a way to go out.
I know, yeah. I mean, I'd love to have seen the final, but sadly couldn't. But touch back on the Women's Super League then. The last question on that is, do you think one day we could see maybe 20 teams in the Super League one day? And like its own football league?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see why not. You know, the Championship's looking strong as well this year. And again, if the interest is there and the clubs are investing in the women's teams, I think, you know, what the European women's teams are doing are great. You know, we always hear that investment in Europe for women's teams is a lot more bigger than it is in England. You know, I think Lyon are, you know, insanely invested in their women's team, with their owner even going to along to training sessions and stuff. And obviously we see it now with Barca, kind of all the jokes that they could probably beat the men's team at the moment. But yeah, I think I can't see why not. You know, like if the appetite's there, and like I say, the investment's there from both external brands and the clubs, hopefully we can keep pushing clubs up the league, and like I said, with the Championship teams looking stronger as well. Hopefully we can keep growing, get bigger supports as well.
Yeah, I mean, do you know of any grounds that refuse to host any games? Do you know any clubs that refused?
I don't know.
Mansfield Town better not be one of them.
Yeah, I know Portsmouth definitely not, because I mean, we used to play as kids in like mini tournaments. But I think it was just hearsay and kind of the backlash after the Euros of a few commentators and pundits kind of mentioning that there had been some clubs kind of refusing. But then if you look at Man United, for example, you know, their women's team has only just kind of really evolved and it's on its own journey. And that says a lot, you know, for such a club that's been in the limelight and well, you know, known globally and worldwide, for them only to be investing now into a women's team is quite shocking, really. But yeah, I haven't got any names to throw under the bus, but I wish I did.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it was good for clubs like Rotherham, especially. You know, they've got a great enough ground for it.
Yeah.
So every cloud has a silver lining.
Exactly.
So you told me that you work as a publicist.
I do indeed.
How's that been?
It's been great. Yeah, it's been really good. So yeah, I work in entertainment publicity, but that covers so much, from like music, fashion, sport, digital. It's been crazy. I've been up in London now for I think nearly 3 years, and kind of worked my way up to be a publicist. So yeah, it's been great. It's just such a busy job, considering I don't save lives or I don't change the world. It's a busy job, but I love my job. It gets me to a lot of new places and meet a lot of new people, and I've been lucky enough to kind of have clients now and in the past that I've actually linked back to football and kind of been able to share that journey of my work and their career or their story with. So it's been really good.
Good. I remember you saying to me off there as well, this is what I've been looking forward to asking you about. Patrice Evra.
Yeah, that's a name that I like to hear. I've worked with Patrice for at my old agency for about 2 years, as his publicist and on his PR team, post him obviously retiring and kind of setting up, you know, his career now post football. It was just such an amazing experience. I always say he's like been my favorite client to date, like hearing his stories about football and kind of, you know, being there. And I actually, the first time I went to United's ground was with Patrice, and it was just insane. I was just like, this is mental, like as a football fan and kind of watching him play and probably play against Pompey. I mean, I think we shared some funniest stories about when he actually come down to Fratton Park. It's been great kind of having that exposure to footballers and sports personalities as a fan, because you see it in like a different light and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And I was lucky enough to work on his book publicity with him, and obviously if you've read it, or if you haven't, I would recommend you read it. But the stories in there about some of the players and Alex Ferguson are just like, it's just crazy, like honestly crazy. I owe a lot to Patrice, because he taught me a lot in those years of working with him. And like I say, the experiences I've had, like I went to Soccer Aid with him, and again, that was my first time at City's ground at the Etihad. And it's just, I could speak about Patrice all night. No bad word at all. Like, it was just such a great team to work on. And everyone a part of that team with him is just crazy.
Fantastic. I mean, I can remember one story about Evra with Fergie. Now, Man United had been drawn away to Real Madrid in the Champions League. First leg, Danny Welbeck scored to make it 1-0 in the Bernabeu. And then the cross comes in, Ronaldo scored. And Fergie shouted at him, saying, "Why haven't you jumped?" Because he hasn't jumped. And then Fergie saw the replay at half time, I think it was. And obviously Ronaldo could jump pretty high. And he said, I think his waist was about level with Evra's head. He ended it. And I think Fergie turned around and said, "Sorry, mate." that was what I could remember.
Evra is a small guy though, but even seeing him like play football at like Soccer Aid and stuff, he still got it. Like we would always turn around and be like, "Why are you still not playing?" Like I get it, you're 40 and you know your fitness isn't the best like what it was when you were playing, but he's still so good. And yeah, like even just like I said, going back to United with him on kind of press trips and kind of hearing his stories firsthand, like we're just sat in an empty United stadium and just talking about his memories and stuff. It's just insane. And I'll always keep those close to me, because as a football fan, like that's amazing to sit next to one, like an ex-pro and kind of hear the ins and outs, and also just kind of like his experience as a player on the pitch as opposed to a fan in the stands. So it's a great client to work with, and I'm just itching to get onto the next footballer now. I'm like, who else can I work with? Like, I just want to keep my sports roster going.
Who's your dream client? Go on, who's your dream one? Who do you really want to work with?
God. Okay, so playing, I would say Heung-min Son, just because I think his exposure worldwide is crazy. I mean, I love the guy. He seems very sweet, so that always would help. I would say Heung-min Son playing, just because I think opportunities would be great. But it's also interesting because at the moment, we are seeing that shift back to kind of the Beckham era of players kind of having that media personality and having their brand deals. And there was a time maybe in the last 15 years, 10 years where players were told, like, don't speak, don't do your own thing, get off social media. But now, after a game, a player can just go on Instagram, right, and say what they think, say what they want to say. So it is really interesting. So I would say Heung-min Son currently playing, and then trying to think X. I always like people who have kind of had like scandals, because I'm like, I could fix that. So any player that's had a scandal, basically. I mean, watching the this probably make people laugh, but watching the fallout with Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy has been insane. Like, to me, that is heaven. Like, watching that court case, I could only think like the conversations between Wayne Rooney and Jamie Vardy. Like, honestly, that is press gold. That is a PR dream, honestly. But just like I say, I love the drama of anything, and kind of being able to be in the background of it, because so much happens that obviously we don't know about. So maybe one day I might come out of entertainment PR and just go be a PR at a club, maybe Spurs, and just tell all the players what to say and what to do. And then off my head though, it would be Heung-min Son, just because I'm obsessed with him.
Talking about ex-players, I'm sure John Terry might be high up the list in terms of scandals.
Yeah, he's got a few. I mean Gascoigne, again, he would have a few.
That'd be hilarious. I bet he'd be hilarious.
But they're always the best ones, honestly, because you've got work to do. If they're squeaky clean, you're like, what can I do?
Boring,
or upkeep that image. It's not as good. But if there's if you've got a newspaper calling you up saying, I've got this story, you're like, oh my god, did you do this? Kind of thing. So
think of players like who'd be a bad player. Pogba, Suarez, Diego Costa, players like that would be fun.
Yeah. I mean, Pogba he just gets rinsed all the time, both on social media and in the press. Like, I mean, let's hope that he just doesn't read it all. But he would. He could do with a little bit of cleaning up, I guess. But anyone that has just got a story, basically. I just love a good story. Like, even if it's again through like adversity or a wonder kid. Like, that would be a dream of kind of looking at like League One, League Two players and see which kid's coming up at the moment and jumping on their team before they go play on like international stage, etc. It would have been good to kind of see what Phil Foden's team or someone like that, would have been like at a young age. But I mean, I think, looking at the England squad now, even, I think the clubs and the teams behind them do an insane job. Like, you can just tell that they're just such professionals on and off the pitch, and dying to get into there.
I mean, did you have any funny stories, Evra?
I mean, he would be the one telling the funny stories.
Anything you remember? that you're willing to share?
I'm trying to think of what ones are out there in public already. I mean, every interview we done, he would always say about how there was a time, I can't think of what team he was playing, and United were winning like 2-3-0. He was playing amazingly apparently, and he said they went in at half time and he's like, yeah, you know, well done boys, like we're doing great. And then apparently Alex Ferguson's just dead silent, he's just not saying anything. And then he goes up to Evra and just gives him the hairdryer, like the absolute classic hairdryer, and is like, you're playing this, you're rubbish, da da da. And Patrice is like, what the hell, like, I'm playing amazing, like, and obviously like like hits back and then says, you know, like I'm great, whatever. He says the next day he went into training and he knocked on Sir Alex's door and he said, boss, like what was that about yesterday? Like you shouted at me in front of the whole team and I played really well. And Alex Ferguson was like, oh no, I was just setting an example. And it was just like, oh yeah, you were playing great. It's like, you were playing great, but the others weren't. And he was like, so I knew if I shouted at you, everyone else would be like, oh my God, well, if Evra's playing like that and I'm playing like 10 times worse than him, can you imagine what Sir Alex would have said to them? So yeah, he would always tell that story, which always got a giggle. But I guess again that just shows the great management skills of Sir Alex and what he done with that United team. But there's a lot of funny stories in Patrice's book. But just even off the pitch though, he's just a funny guy. And like I say, it'll always be like one of my career highlights working with him.
Oh, fantastic. Psychological genius that from Fergie. I mean,
100%. 100%.
Cloughy, so many stories about stuff like that. It's funny.
Yeah, 100%.
You also mentioned to me about you manage a band and you also were an integral part of the West Ham kit launch.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So away from my day job as a publicist, I co-manage kind of like an indie pop band with my boyfriend. So we're partners and also business partners. So that's always good. But we manage a band called Lock-In, and they are all massive West Ham fans, and kind of the last couple of years that we've been going with them, our following has been mostly football fans, which has been great because we know that they're loyal and whatever music we put out, they're like. But yeah, as I say, they were massive West Ham fans, and we were lucky enough to get them involved in last season's kit launch for the social media announcement. And we got them in a studio. They like done their little part and performance, and then it's really good to have to send it over, and players were then inserted around the video, and it went live on their social media and got so much attention. But obviously it was during the transfer window. So at the time West Ham hadn't signed anyone. Classic West Ham. So whatever tweet they were putting out or whatever social media post they're putting out, people were just inundating them like, well, where's the signing, who's signing, blah blah blah. So then when our video went live, we were quite nervous about like, oh, will people like the music, will people like the look, like what reaction we're going to get. The only reaction we got was, where's the signing, can the lead singer play football, like, and all these funny jokes. And it's we still laugh about it today, like just like funny reactions of like, okay, cool, they can sing, but where's the signing, like so yeah, we managed to do that. And then like I say, the band's audience are mainly football fans and football goers, so it's a really nice community. But yeah, I think the West Ham kit launch collaboration will be a solid up there moment for them and us, because we managed to kind of get them involved with their like childhood club, and seeing their family's reactions. And I think one of the guys filmed his granddad watching it, and it was just like a 360 moment of him taking his grandson, and now his grandson's launching the kit. So yeah, it was a really good moment.
Fantastic. I mean, every band needs to start somewhere. They probably need that viral moment, if you like, to get to the top.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's a tough industry. that we're in, and there is so many kind of bands up and coming at the moment. But you also, you know, we have to praise you know, channels like Sky with Soccer AM, who are promoting that kind of up and coming scene on the indie side. And we've been lucky enough to kind of have the songs play on Goals of the Week and stuff, and Fenner's is behind them, and we just want to keep that momentum going. And yeah, like I say, the football scene is definitely helping us do that, so we can't moan at all.
Long may it continue as well. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No, lovely. Right, last question. We asked this to everybody. If you could sum up football in 3 words, what would it be? So it could be 3 separate words or a 3-word phrase.
I would say community. Just it brings people together on every level, as we experience, you know. Strangers can just become friends and watch it together. I would say emotional, again, on every level of the words. Happy emotions, sad emotions, frustration, every emotion. You'll feel in that 90 minutes. And then I would say universal. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, anywhere, you know, football is universal. It's a universal language that we can all relate to, whether or not we can speak the same language of the person we're watching it with. We all know what's happening. We all know the rules. And yeah, I think it's a universal kind of tool that we can all use to kind of put practices to our day-to-day life and kind of keep it going. But yeah, those would be my 3 words.
Fantastic. And I can't believe we're in season 3 of this podcast. Nobody has ever said emotional.
Oh,
Nobody.
Really? Maybe it's because I'm a woman.
I don't know, but still.
You guys need to get a little bit more emotional.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. I mean, last night, I mean, you'd have laughed your head off if you see me celebrating that Liverpool goal. I'm telling you now. I mean, my voice hasn't quite recovered. I went absolutely crazy.
You know, it is emotional. That should be the first word everyone says. Yeah, because it's every emotion. I think when people say emotional, you think of negative connotations, but you know, it's joyful, happiness, like everything, as well as the rubbish emotions that come with it as well. But we get over it, and then 7 days comes along and we watch them again and it's fine. So
Mansfield Town.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Aimee, seriously, thank you for coming on. It's been fantastic. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you for having me.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, no, me too. Thank you very much.
Lock in the name of the band.
Yeah, so you can find them on social media at lockin_band. I'll send you over the details as well. So if everyone can go give them a follow and a listen and let us know what you think, that would be amazing. But it's been such a pleasure, and thanks for having me on. Thank you for coming. I'm sure there'll be one day where I bump into a Women's Super League game, or maybe even watching the Lionesses. 100%. Let's link back up again and get the Wembley squad back together. I have to let you, Stuart, know when if we do want to come watch Tottenham women, wherever it may be, at Barnet or at the big ground. 100%. Well, this has been the FANA Fan Podcast. We'll see you next time.